Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will learn about how to manage RDS proxy with a relational database. I am Aishwarya Sood. I am a software engineer and AWS trainer by profession. I am 3x AWS certified. I am also AWS Academy accredited educator. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my profile name, Aishwarya Sood 29, and you can also scan the QR code to quickly view my profile. So in this video, we will first get a brief introduction to the Amazon RDS proxy and then its benefits. After that, we will see how it works and then I'll explain some related terminology of it. Next, we would have failover tests which underline the benefits of using Amazon RDS proxy. We will get to know some use cases and at last, we will summarize the concept with a few points about it. So let's begin with the introduction to RDS proxy. But before that, let me tell you about what a database proxy actually is. It's actually a service that sits between the client and the server and is basically a reverse proxy that is built to provide a lot of benefits like security, scalability, and high availability for databases, for key value stores and message queues. So you will understand it better once you see the working of it in the coming slides. So let's look into what are the few more points about RDS proxy. So first of all, it's a database proxy that is used with RDS and that makes application more scalable, more resilient to a database failure and more secure. Next, just like RDS, it is a fully managed service and it is highly available. Generally, there would be concerns regarding using relational databases with serverless, but we will see how RDS proxy is beneficial. It can also be used in a traditional way and benefited from the security enhancement it provides apart from the resilience. And it's a middleware that will operate in between the application and the database. It's available for two relational database services, Aurora and RDS, and the vendors are MySQL and Postgre in both of them. And pricing is simple and predictable and isn't dependent on the usage. You just pay per virtual CPU of the database instance for which proxy is enabled. So this is about RDS proxy, and now let's look into some of the benefits of it. So first benefit that comes is the scaling. RDS proxy instance maintains a pool of established connections to your RDS database instances and hence it will increase the application performance and reduce the stress on the database compute and memory resources. And it also shares a infrequently established database connections, which is the connection pooling, which we will be learning in the next few slides. Next is resilience. So RDS proxy minimizes application disruption from outages affecting the availability of your database, and it will auto connect to a new database instance while preserving the application connections during the failures. And this reduces the failover times by 66%, which is a very good benefit of this RDS proxy. Next is about the security. So IAM authentications can be enforced here instead of password in your application code, and you can also manage the controls in the secret manager to have even better security. And apart from that, it is fully managed. It can be compatible with existing databases without any change and is also highly available as it is deployed over multiple availability zones to protect you from the infrastructure failure. Now let's see about the working steps or just the basic working of RDS proxy, like how does it work into an application. So it sits between the client application and the database. Client applications can be applications running on a server or serverless functions. They will point to the RDS proxy endpoint, and RDS proxy will pool and share the database connections, improving the database efficiency and application scalability. So overall, the overall performance will be improved for sure. So this is about working, which we will be seeing live in the AWS console. But to understand the working exactly, we have to understand a few concepts that are associated to RDS proxy, and let's discuss few of them one by one. So RDS proxy can front your Amazon RDS or MySQL or PostgreSQL and Aurora MySQL or PostgreSQL databases. It allows you to manage an application's access to the database and also provides a connection pooling, multiplexing, and also graceful failover. So let's discuss these concepts one by one. First comes a connection pool. So it's an optimization that will reduce the overhead associated with the opening and closing connections and with keeping many connections open simultaneously, and thus saves on memory and the compute. Next is multiplexing, and this says that the proxy can reuse every connection after a transaction in your session, and it's like one connection used by multiple applications instead of multiple applications opening multiple connections, which is quite a burden. Next concept is about the borrowing. So it's like when RDS proxy temporarily removes a connection from the connection pool to reuse it, that operation is called borrowing the connection. And when it's safe to do so, RDS proxy returns that connection to the connection pool. There are a few more concepts. Let's look into them. So the next concept is about pinning. In some cases, RDS proxy can't be sure that it's safe to reuse a database connection outside of the current session. So in these cases, what it does, it keeps the session on the same connection until the session ends. And this fallback behavior is called pinning. AWS usually recommends to avoid this pinning as much as possible, since it makes it harder to share the connections and thus reduces the benefits of using RDS proxy as such. And then comes the endpoints. Multiple endpoints can be used with the proxy to monitor and troubleshoot the connections. You can use reader endpoints with Aurora database clusters to improve the read scalability and high availability for your query intensive applications. Basically the read heavy applications. And then the another type of endpoint, you can use a cross VPC endpoint to allow the access to a database in one VPC from resources such as Amazon EC2 instances in a different VPC. Let's look into few more concepts of RDS proxy. The next is the target groups. Each proxy contains a target group, and this target group represents a set of RDS database instances or Aurora database clusters or both that a proxy can connect to. The RDS database instance that is associated with the proxy or the Aurora DB cluster and its instances is called the targets of that proxy. And for convenience, when you create a proxy through the console, RDS proxy also creates the corresponding target group and registers the associated targets automatically. Next is the engine family. It's a related set of database engines that use the same database protocol, and you can choose the engine family for each proxy that you are creating on AWS. So that was about a few concepts and the basics of RDS proxy. In the next slide, we will be seeing a demo of how to set up the RDS proxy on AWS and how to create a connection to it, like from EC2 instance to your database through RDS proxy, so that we can get a feel of what are the benefits of this service. By seeing the working, we will be able to see a lot of benefits from it, and you will be able to use that in your applications as well. So let's go on to AWS console and see how to set up the RDS proxy. So for this demo, the first step that will be there is to create an EC2 instance. What exactly we will be doing? We will create an EC2 instance and we will create a RDS DB instance. We will see if that EC2 instance is able to connect to RDS DB instance, and then we will create a RDS proxy, so that we will see how we can connect to our database by using a RDS proxy, and we will connect to RDS proxy then through the EC2 instance. So anyway, let's begin with first creating an EC2 instance itself. just launching a simple instance with I'll just use a Linux 2 AMI for this demo and it's fine. Go ahead with the Linux 2, and t2.micro instance is also fine for the demo. Configuring instance details, nothing to change from here, just make sure which VPC you are using. Okay, so I'm just using the default VPC. Other things, let it be default. Add storage, default, and tags also I can skip. Then configure security group. So for this I have already created a security group, the web server SG. What it is allowing, just the SSH port is opened so that we can SSH into this EC2 instance. That's it. This you can also use this security group for your EC2 instance, and then click on review and launch. So I am okay with all the settings, and for this demo I'll proceed without a key pair because we will be just connecting it through the browser itself. So just click on launch instances. In the next few seconds my instance will be ready, so let me just wait for few seconds and pause the video here, and we will begin with the further process after that. So it seems like my instance is ready now. Let us see. Here's my instance that I just launched. Let me give it a name, demo RDS proxy. This just naming my EC2 instance. It is already running. So just select this EC2 instance and you will be able to connect it to through this option itself. Now what I will do, I just need a security group for my RDS database instance, which is the next step of the procedure. So I will create a security group which I'll be able to use with my RDS DB instance. So let me just create a security group. Let me name it as RDS SG, and also the description also let it be same. And VPC, I'm just making sure it's the same one which I used for my EC2. So inbound rule I will edit. I will just click on add rule, and here I need to add the MySQL for the like the MySQL traffic. The SQL traffic should be allowed from the EC2 instance that we created. So here we will specify the web server security group so that the traffic that is coming from this security group, that is our EC2 instance that we just launched, it will be able to connect to the EC2 the RDS DB instance. So just this is fine, and I just click on create security group. So here my security group is ready. Now I'll go and create a DB instance in RDS. Let me navigate to RDS now. So here I'll just create a DB instance. Let's start the process. Click on create database. So here I will choose standard create, and engine I will choose MySQL because RDS proxy is supported with it. And next things, also I need to keep in mind the version, because with RDS proxy only the 5.6 and 5.7 version of MySQL is supported. So I am changing the version here to 5.7 or .31. That's fine because it will be supported. And the template I'll go ahead with the dev or test. Okay, because I do not want any kind of high availability particularly here. And settings, the name, let it be database 1. That's fine. And username, you have to give here some username by which, like, these are the credentials by which you will be able to connect to your DB instance that you are just creating. So here the username, let it be admin. Let me give a password here. So here, after giving the username and some password for the database instance, just go a little down and see the DB instance class you can select here, like how we select the instance type for EC2 instance. Here I can select the instance type for my DB instance. So let me select a burstable class and also include the previous generations. So yeah, db.t2.micro is fine for me. I just need this capacity, nothing much for this demo. And storage also, general purpose is fine for me. I do not want anything extra. Let the auto scaling be as it is. And then multi-AZ deployment also I do not need for this one. If you want, you can just configure the multi-AZ deployment from here. And then connectivity, make sure this is the same VPC where you kept your EC2. So I use the default VPC, that's fine. Then subnet group not required to change. Anything else here we need to change a little bit. We will just select the security group that we just created in the previous step. So after creating the EC2 instance, if you remember, I created a security group that I said I will use with my RDS DB instance. So I will choose an existing one. I gave the name as RDS SG. Yes, here it is. So I have attached it to my DB instance. Availability zone, I have no preference. Database authentication, I would like to authenticate with the username and password. And in the additional configuration, here I have to give the name. So I can give the same name which I was giving earlier, database 1 as my database name, and the version and parameter group and option group they have filled by default. And automatic backups, no, I do not need them, so I'm just unchecking it. And also monitoring, let it be. Other things, yeah, I can leave everything else as default, and this is it for my DB instance. And here I click on create database. So it will take a few moments to become into the available state. Currently it is saying that currently it will say it is creating. Let me see the status. So it's creating right now. I'll just wait for a few more minutes. So once it comes into the available state, we can proceed with the further things. So after waiting for about 5 minutes, now it has given the status of available, that my database is available now. So what I will do now, I will just try and see if I can connect to my database instance from my EC2 instance. Okay, so let's connect to the EC2 instance. This is the one that I created, and click on connect. And here I connect to my EC2 instance. So I'm into my EC2 instance now. Now let me install the MySQL on this EC2 instance. So for that, let me run this command. So the MySQL has been installed on my EC2 instance, and now I can also see that this is a version that has been installed. I have confirmed. So now what I will do, I will connect my RDS DB instance from my EC2 instance. So for that I need the endpoint of this. Just copying the endpoint from the RDS DB instance, and here I type the command. The port, the endpoint, first the endpoint, then the port, and then the username, which was admin in my case, and then the password, which we will enter next. So the password I will enter here, and here I have successfully established the connection to my database that I created earlier. That was the database one. So let me try running some commands here, so as to ensure if it's working properly. So just show databases command, and okay, this is showing me all the databases. And let me try creating the database also. Create database test DB, let it be. So now let me see if my database is here. Yes, it's there. That means all the operations on my DB instance, they are working fine. So we are good to go for the RDS proxy process. So for that we will begin now. Like we are successfully able to build the connection from EC2 to RDS. Now we will build the RDS proxy connection. So before we create the RDS proxy from here, what we have to do, we have to store the database credentials, that is the username, that was admin, and the password in the secrets manager, so that RDS proxy will fetch the credentials from there and it will use them. So for that we have to navigate to secrets manager, and let's create a new secret in this one. So here just click on store a new secret and select the credentials for RDS database, because we are storing the username and password for this. So admin, the username, and the password I have entered. So these credentials will be fetched by the RDS proxy, and select the database for database 1 which I created in RDS. Yes, I want this to be using, and then next. So just give this secret a name. I will just give it the name as proxy secret, or proxy secret, or RDS proxy secret, whatever we want. And then description, if you want you can add, otherwise it's just optional. And then tags also can be added, and then other things, whatever you want to add you can change, but I'm leaving other settings as default. So just leaving the automatic rotation also as default, I do not want that, and click on next. So review all the decisions that I have made in the previous tabs, and I am okay. So store this one. Now the secret has been created. Now I will go ahead and create a role for my RDS proxy to be used. So before creating RDS proxy, what are the resources that we are creating? First, I created a RDS proxy secret, which is storing my database credentials for the RDS database. And now I will create a role for my RDS proxy to give it the permissions to access this secret. So for that, let me go to IAM and create a role for this. But before that we have to, I forgot to copy the ARN of the secret. So let me just go here, and this is a secret ARN which I'll be using in the policy. So now going to IAM, and here I will create the role and attach a policy. So for roles, what I have to do, just click on this roles and create role. And here I will choose a AWS service. So from this let me choose the RDS. Where's RDS? Yeah, here it is. RDS selected, and I need to select this one, RDS add role to the database, and then click on next, permissions. So to add the permissions, I will select a policy. Instead of selecting, I will click on create policy, because I have a custom policy available with me. So here I will select the JSON, and I have the policy. I will paste that, and here in the secret secret ARN, let me paste my secrets ARN, and here I go. So my secret that I just created, so the policy has been done, it has no errors, and I am good to go. So click on add tags. Tags I am not adding any as of now, and click on review. So yes, this seems fine, and let me name it as proxy policy, and then click on create policy. So the policy seems like it has been created. Now I will attach it to my role. Let me refresh, and proxy policy. Yes, it is here. So attaching this policy that I just created to the role that I am creating now. So click on add tags. I do not need any tags and click on review. Yes, in the review I will give the name as RDS proxy role. Yes, this is fine. And then other things, yes, they are fine, and click on create role. So the role has been created, and now we will proceed with the process of creating RDS proxy. For that, let's go back to the RDS console, and from there we will be able to create the proxy. So from here in the left navigation pane, just select this proxies option and then click on create proxy. And then just give a proxy identifier. Let me give it as RDS proxy or 1, RDS proxy 1, and here MySQL. Yes, this is right. Choose a database. So my database was database 1, selecting this one. Database I selected. Let's see if there's anything else. Nothing from here. And secrets manager secret, which one I just created. So this was a RDS proxy secret from which it will fetch the credentials. And role, I created a proxy role. Yes, this one. Then other things, let it be default, and for enhanced logging, let it be disabled itself, and click on create proxy. So the proxy has been creating, and it will take a few moments to get ready. Till then, let me pause the video. So it has been available now. So my proxy has been created. Okay, it's still in the creating status again. A few modifications I need to make. So for that, like, I need a new security group for my RDS proxy, because I do not want the default one to be attached. So for that, what I will do, I will go back to the EC2 console and I will create a new security group, which I will add the appropriate rules in, and then I will attach it, come back to the RDS proxy and attach it to my RDS proxy. Let's create the security group. Click on create security group, and here I am giving it as proxy SG, and same for the description. And I will add the inbound rules. So what I need to allow in this one, MySQL and Aurora, the 3306 port from my EC2 instance. So what was a web security group that we gave to our EC2 instance? That was a web server. So this will allow the traffic that is coming from my EC2 instance to come inside the RDS proxy. That's why we have attached this this rule, and click on create security group. Now going back to the RDS console and select the RDS proxy. So I need to modify this. I need to edit the security group because while creating I forgot about that. So in the additional connectivity configuration, I click on choose an existing and select the proxy. Let me search for it. Yes, it's here, proxy SG, and I am okay. So modify the proxy. So once it comes to the available state, we will be able to connect to the RDS proxy from our EC2 instance. Let's wait for the time being. Yes, it has modified the proxy. So we are good to go. But before that, there's one security group modification that we need to make. So for that, go back to the security groups, and if you remember, with our RDS DB instance, which security group did we use? The RDS SG. So just select this one, because currently it is allowing the inbound access from the EC2, but now we have to edit it for the proxy security group as well. So just click on add rule, and same same port, the MySQL and Aurora. And here the proxy security group will be selected now, because the web server, that is the EC2 security group, it's there, that traffic can come into this one, the RDS, and now from the proxy also it should be able to come inside. So save rules, and now the security group modifications has been done, the proxy is set, and now we are ready to connect through the EC2 instance to our RDS proxy. Okay, so let's connect, let's go back to the EC2 instance, and just to confirm the MySQL, yes, it is there. So what I will do, same command, by using the same command but the endpoint will be different, I'll be able to connect to the RDS proxy. So MySQL minus -h. So here I need to get the endpoint. So my proxy's endpoint I will copy and then I will paste it on the command. This is an endpoint which can be used to read as well as write. There is read only endpoint as well. So for this, pasting this one, and then the port 3306 and user is admin, and password it will ask me. So seems like there has been some error in the security group configurations. Let me go back and check the security group configurations and we will be able to successfully connect. But before that, let me check the rules. So I retried, I checked all the security group rules. They were all fine. I just tried the command again and it's working. So I am able to connect to my RDS proxy. Let me try it again. Yes, here just see, I am able to connect to my RDS proxy with the same command, just the endpoint is different. So maybe because of some network connection or something, the first time the command failed, but now I am able to establish the connection from my EC2 instance to my RDS proxy. Now I am not directly connected to the RDS but through the RDS proxy. So here let's try running the same commands that we did earlier for the for the RDS DB instance, like show databases, so that we can confirm it's working fine. Yes, it is working fine. So if you remember, we created this test DB when we connected to the DB instance of the RDS. So this is how we connect to the RDS proxy, and just to confirm that the connections are made, we can check that from the CloudWatch logs. For that, go to the CloudWatch and we will be able to see the connections that have been made here. CloudWatch. So here, from here I need to select all metrics and then RDS. So here from RDS per proxy I want. Yes, per proxy metrics are available now. So from this I can check out the client connections and also the database connections that are there. And let's check it in the numbers. So it's still updating. Let's wait for a few more seconds. So it has updated all the metrics and I selected a few more metrics. I can see the data for all my metrics, and let me just show you. So we can see the client connections that were succeeded and the database connection setups that were succeeded because we have connected to the RDS proxy. That's why we are able to see all the metrics here. So the other metric data, it's not available. So once we start working with the RDS proxy, we do some other further processing, we will be able to see all other data. But that's how we can just simply connect to the RDS proxy, and we have seen a few benefits also. Let me show you a few more things, because this is how just we set up. Okay, but there can be multiple use cases. This was just how to set up, but you can incorporate this kind of functionality for your other applications as well. So let's get back to the slides now and let me tell you a few cases and a few more features about it, and let's go back. So that was about the demo. And now a few failover tests example which I have taken. So like what's the difference exactly? I am able to connect directly also, and I am using RDS proxy also. What's the benefit that I am getting? The first table, the first graph that you are able to see here, it is representing the findings from an internal test, okay, so which executed 100 times, comparing failover times between a direct connection to an Aurora cluster and a connection to the Aurora cluster via RDS proxy. So this reveals a significant improvement, and also in this one DNS TTL setting was enabled in the benchmark. So the result you can see here with the well-tuned MariaDB client that we have just set up there in the EC2, you were able to see you get an average failover time of 2.9 seconds when using RDS proxy and 13.8 seconds for direct connections, which is almost a 79% improvement with the RDS proxy. So that's what is the difference between a direct connection and using a RDS proxy to connect to the database. Let's look into a little more into the same thing. So this first table that you can see here, it is a result from the graph, that is this one. The second one is the same but with the multi-AZ configuration. With multi-AZ, what happens with the multi-AZ? With multi-AZ, your database, that is like RDS MySQL, let's say, the primary database instance will exist in one availability zone, and while a synchronously standby instance will be residing in a second availability zone. So the results from the second table was RDS proxy reduces the client recovery time after failover by up to 79% for the Amazon Aurora MySQL and by up to 32% for Amazon RDS for MySQL with multi-AZ, and also it works equally well with different client drivers without requiring special client logic, and actively monitors each database, including for all the unplanned failovers as well. And let's look into like where exactly the RDS proxy fit in, what is a suitable use case for this. So first, the applications that support highly variable workloads may attempt they may attempt to open a burst of new database connections, and RDS proxies connection governance allows customers to gracefully scale the applications dealing with any unpredictable workloads by efficiently reducing the not reducing but reusing the database connections. And for the next one, applications that are built on technologies such as serverless or PHP or Ruby on Rails, they may open and close database connections frequently to serve the application requests. And RDS proxy in these cases allows the customers to maintain a pool of database connections to avoid any unnecessary stress on the database compute and memory for establishing new connections. And then application in the industries such as software as a service or e-commerce, which may keep the database connections idling to minimize the response time when a customer re-engages. So instead of over provisioning the database to support mostly idling connections, customers can use RDS proxy to hold idling connections while only establishing the database connections as required to optimally serve the active request. And with RDS proxy, the customers can build applications that can transparently tolerate the database failures without even needing to write the complex failure handling code. And RDS proxy will automatically route the traffic to the new database instance while preserving the application connections. Okay, and then last one, RDS proxy aids the customer in building more secure applications by giving them a choice to enforced IAM based authentication with the relational databases. So if you remember, while I was configuring, it gave me the option for DB authentication, where I just selected that I just need the password authentication. Okay, and for this is for to centrally manage the database credentials through secrets manager. That also we can do to improve the security, like the one we did in the demo also. So to summarize it all, to just say the RDS proxy in little. It's a fully managed, highly available and easy to use database proxy feature of RDS that enables your applications to improve the scalability by pooling and sharing the database connections, and also improve the availability by reducing the database failover times by up to 66% and preserving application connections during failovers as well, and also improve the security by optionally enforcing AWS IAM authentication to the databases, and also secretly storing the credentials in AWS Secrets Manager. So that's how we manage the RDS proxy with our RDS database. Hope that this video was useful for all of you and you have understood the basic concepts of RDS proxy. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.